The final week of treatment had been tense. The council ships remained nearby, watching every move the humans made. Despite this pressure, Jiwoo and her team worked steadily to remove the last of the parasites from Taiho's body. Today was the day they would treat the final area, a cluster near Taiho's heart. This was the most dangerous part. The parasites here were deeply connected to his main life systems. "Everyone ready?" Jiwoo asked, looking at her team. They stood on a platform attached to Taiho's chest, surrounded by stars and the colorful gases of the Orion Nebula. Hyunwoo nodded. "Pulse generators are in position. We've adjusted the frequency to be gentler on the vital systems." "Minji, how are his readings?" Jiwoo asked. "Strong and steady," Minji replied. "Much better than when we started. His energy levels are nearly back to what they should be for a healthy draconid." Jiwoo smiled. It was hard to believe how far they had come. When they found Taiho, he had been days from death. Now he was almost fully recovered. "Taiho, we're ready for the final treatment," she said through their psychic link. "This will be the most difficult one. Are you prepared?" "I am ready," Taiho replied. His mental voice was now strong and clear, filled with a power that hinted at his true nature. "Do what you must. I trust you, Jiwoo Park." Those simple words filled Jiwoo with pride. To have earned the trust of such an ancient and wise being meant more than any scientific achievement. "Begin the pulse sequence," she ordered. The generators activated, their blue glow spreading across the final parasite cluster. As expected, the parasites reacted violently, pulsing with angry red light as they tried to draw more energy from Taiho's heart. Through the link, Jiwoo felt Taiho's pain, but also his determination. The ancient dragon remained steady, his massive body barely trembling despite the agony. On the nearby council ships, Jiwoo knew they were watching closely. Chief Science Officer Nara had made it clear they still intended to take control of Taiho once the treatment was complete. The humans had other plans. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then slowly the parasites began to lose their glow. One by one, they detached from Taiho's scales and drifted away into space. "It's working," Hyunwoo exclaimed. "The final cluster is breaking down." Jiwoo watched in amazement as the last of the parasites died. Where they had been, Taiho's true scales were revealed, a beautiful pattern of deep blue and silver that seemed to contain the very stars themselves. "Scan complete," Minji reported, her voice filled with excitement. No active parasites detected anywhere on Taiho's body. "We did it!" A cheer went up from the team. After weeks of hard work, they had succeeded where the advanced civilizations of the Galactic Council had failed. They had saved the last draconid. "I feel whole," Taiho said through the link. "For the first time in centuries, I am free of pain, free of their weight." "How do you feel otherwise?" Jiwoo asked. "Any weakness?" "Dizziness." "Quite the opposite," Taiho replied. "I feel strength returning that I had forgotten. Energy flows through my body unhindered." As if to demonstrate, Taiho moved. Not the small, painful shifts he had managed before, but a full, graceful motion. His enormous body uncurled, stretching out to its full 2-kilometer length. His wings, which had hung limp for centuries, now extended outward, spanning a distance greater than the Curiosity's length. The sight was breathtaking. In the light of the nebula, Taiho's scales shimmered with colors that seemed to shift and change. He was no longer a dying creature, but a magnificent space dragon in his prime. "He's beautiful," Minji whispered. Before Jiwoo could respond, an alert sounded from their communication system. Captain Do-hyun's voice came through. "Jiwoo, the council ships are moving. They're taking up positions around Taiho. I think they're preparing to capture him." Jiwoo's joy turned to anger. "We need to get back to the ship." "Taiho, did you hear that?" "I did," the dragon replied. "Return to your vessel quickly. I will handle the council." The team hurried to their shuttle and returned to the Curiosity. When they reached the bridge, they found Captain Do-hyun facing a communication screen showing Chief Science Officer Nara. "The treatment is complete," Nara was saying. "The draconid will now come under council protection. Your service is appreciated, but your involvement ends here." "That's not your decision to make," Do-hyun replied firmly. "Taiho is a free being. He decides his own fate." Nara's expression hardened. "The draconid is the last of an ancient species. Its knowledge and abilities are too valuable to leave in human hands. Our ships are moving into position to secure it." "His name is Taiho," Jiwoo said, stepping forward. "And he's not an it. He's a person with rights and choices." "Naive humans," Nara said dismissively. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Draconids are not just animals or simple aliens. They are living repositories of knowledge spanning millions of years. The Council has a duty to preserve that knowledge. Outside the viewports, they could see the 3 Council ships moving to surround Taiho. Small shuttles emerged, carrying devices that looked like giant restraints. They're trying to capture him, Hyunwoo said in disbelief. Jiwoo opened the psychic link.
Taiho, there. I see them, Taiho interrupted.
Do not worry, my friends. I am no longer weak. What happened next left everyone on the bridge speechless. Taiho moved with a speed that seemed impossible for something so large. His massive body twisted gracefully, avoiding the Council shuttles. Then he opened his mouth and released a stream of energy. Not fire, but something like concentrated starlight. The beam didn't hit the Council ships, but passed just in front of them, a warning shot that could not be misunderstood. By the stars, Minji whispered. I didn't know he could do that. There is much about draconids that the Council has forgotten. Taiho's voice came through the ship's communication system, now broadcasting to the Council ships as well. Or chosen not to remember. On the screen, Nara's face showed shock. Draconid, stand down! The Council only wishes to protect you. My name is Taiho, the dragon replied, his mental voice now booming through all the ships. And I do not need your protection. The humans have earned my trust and friendship, something the Council lost when they abandoned me to die. Taiho moved again, positioning himself protectively between the Curiosity and the Council ships. I make my own choices now, he continued, and I choose to go with the humans to Earth. I wish to learn about their world and their people. If the Council wishes to speak with me after that, they may request a meeting as equals, not as owners. Nara's expression shifted from shock to calculation. This is unprecedented. The Council will need to discuss this development. There's nothing to discuss, Captain Do-hyun said firmly. Taiho has made his choice. We're leaving for Earth and he's coming with us. For a tense moment, it seemed the Council ships might try to force the issue. Then slowly, they began to pull back. This is not over, Nara said. The Council will be watching. The communication ended. Jiwoo let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Are they really letting us go? Minji asked. For now, Do-hyun replied. They know they can't force Taiho to go with them. Not anymore. Jiwoo turned to the viewport where Taiho hovered, his massive form now fully revealed in all its glory. Through their link, she felt his joy and freedom. Ready to see Earth? She asked him. More than ready, Taiho replied. I have spent too long drifting alone. It is time for new adventures, new friends, new worlds. Captain Do-hyun gave the order, and the Curiosity began to move away from the Orion Nebula, setting course for Earth. Beside them, Taiho flew effortlessly, his enormous wings catching the solar winds, his scales reflecting the light of distant stars. As they traveled, Jiwoo stood at the viewport watching the magnificent creature they had saved. What had begun as a simple rescue mission had become something much more. The beginning of a friendship between humans and the last Draconid. A friendship that might change the galaxy. What will happen when we reach Earth? Minji asked, joining her at the window. Jiwoo smiled. I don't know, but I think it's going to be amazing. Outside, Taiho soared through space, free of pain, free of parasites, free to choose his own path for the first time in centuries. And he had chosen to follow the humans who had saved him when all others had given up. As the stars streaked by, Jiwoo knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The story of Taiho and humanity was just starting to unfold, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 month into the treatment, the Curiosity and its crew had settled into a steady routine. They had cleared nearly 70% of the parasites from Taiho's massive body. His true form was emerging more each day. A magnificent creature with scales that shifted colors like the nebula around them. Jiwoo stood on a platform they had built on Taiho's back, directing a team as they placed pulse generators on one of the last major queen clusters. This one was located near the base of Taiho's neck, close to his central nervous system. Be very careful with placement, she instructed the team. This area connects directly to his brainstem. We need precise positioning. Suddenly, an alarm sounded from their communication system. Captain Do-hyun's voice came through urgently. Jiwoo, we have multiple ships approaching. Galactic Council vessels. Jiwoo looked up from her work, surprised. Council ships? Why would they come here? Unknown, but they're hailing us. I need you back on the Curiosity. On my way, Jiwoo replied. She turned to Hyunwoo. Continue with the setup, but don't activate anything until I return. She made her way back to the small shuttle they used to travel between Taiho and the Curiosity. As she traveled, she spoke to Taiho through their psychic link. Council ships are approaching. Do you know why they might be here? No, Taiho replied, his mental voice now strong and clear. But the council rarely acts without purpose. Perhaps they've heard of your success. How would they know? We haven't reported to them. The galaxy has many eyes and ears, Taiho said. And a dying dragon suddenly showing signs of recovery would not go unnoticed. When Jiwoo reached the Curiosity, she hurried to the bridge. Captain Do-hyun stood before the main screen, which showed 3 large council ships approaching. They were sleek and silver, much larger than the human vessel. They're requesting to speak with the ship's science officer, Do-hyun told her. Jiwoo nodded and stepped forward. Open the channel. The screen changed to show an alien face. It belonged to a Vexari, a tall, thin species with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. Vexari were known for their scientific achievements and held high positions in the council. I am Chief Science Officer Nara of the Galactic Council, the Vexari said. Am I addressing the human responsible for treating the Draconid? Yes, Jiwoo replied. I'm Dr. Jiwoo Park, xenobiologist of the Earth research vessel Curiosity. Nara's large eyes blinked slowly. Dr. Park, the council is surprised by your activities. The Draconid was deemed untreatable and was granted a peaceful place to expire. Your interference was not authorized. Jiwoo felt a flash of anger but kept her voice calm. With respect, Chief Science Officer, we didn't need authorization to help a dying being. And our treatment is working. Taiho is recovering. So we have observed, Nara said. This is why we have come. The council wishes to inspect your methods, Captain Do-hyun stepped forward. Our methods are not secret, but this is a delicate stage in the treatment. We would prefer not to interrupt the process. I'm afraid we must insist, Nara replied. The Draconid represents a significant galactic heritage. The council has a responsibility to ensure proper care. Jiwoo and Do-hyun exchanged glances. There was something odd about this sudden interest from the council. Very well, Do-hyun said finally. You may send a small team to observe our work, but we will continue the treatment as planned. Acceptable, Nara said. We will arrive in 1 hour. When the communication ended, Jiwoo turned to the captain. I don't trust this. Why would they suddenly care about Taiho now? They abandoned him to die. I agree, Do-hyun said, but we can't refuse the council directly. We're too far from Earth to expect any help if they decide to force the issue. Jiwoo nodded. I'll inform Taiho. He should know what's happening. She returned to her station and reopened the psychic link. Taiho, the council is sending representatives to inspect our treatment methods. They seem very interested in your recovery. I suspected this might happen, Taiho replied. The council never liked loose ends. A Draconid they declared terminal suddenly recovering raises questions about their judgment. Do you think they mean us harm? Not directly, Taiho said. But they may try to take control of the treatment and me. The council has always seen Draconids as resources rather than equals. We won't let that happen, Jiwoo promised. This is our project and you're our friend. Friend? Taiho's mental voice carried a warm tone. It has been centuries since I had a friend. Thank you, Jiwoo Park. 1 hour later, a council shuttle docked with the Curiosity. Chief Science Officer Nara emerged, accompanied by 4 other council representatives, 2 more Vexari and 2 Krall, a reptilian species known for their military service. Captain Do-hyun and Jiwoo met them in the docking bay. Welcome aboard the Curiosity, Do-hyun said formally. Nara nodded slightly. Thank you, Captain. We are eager to see your treatment methods. Jiwoo led the group to the science lab where she explained their approach using the pulse generators to disrupt the parasite's network. She showed them data from their scans and the results of their treatment so far. Fascinating, Nara said, studying the information. Such a simple solution. Our scientists tried much more complex approaches. Sometimes simpler is better, Jiwoo replied. Would you like to see the treatment in action? We're about to begin work on another queen cluster. Yes, we would, Nara said. But first I must inform you of the council's decision. Given the success of your treatment, the council wishes to take over the final stages. We have brought specialized equipment that will complete the process much faster. Jiwoo frowned. That's not necessary. Our methods are working well. and Taiho is comfortable with our approach. The Draconid's comfort is not the primary concern, one of the Krawl said. This is a matter of galactic importance. The Council has authority here. With respect, Captain Dohyun said firmly. Taiho placed himself under our care. We will not transfer that responsibility without his consent. Nara's expression hardened. Captain, you misunderstand. This is not a request. The Council has determined that the Draconid is too valuable to leave in human hands. Our ships are prepared to take control of this operation immediately. Jiwoo felt a cold anger building inside her. And if we refuse? Then we will be forced to remove you, the Krawl said, his hand moving to a weapon at his side. Before anyone could respond, Taiho's voice suddenly boomed through the ship's communication system. Somehow he had accessed it through the psychic link. I believe I should have a say in this matter. The dragon's voice rumbled. And I choose to remain with the humans who saved me when the Council left me to die. Nara looked startled. The Draconid should not have access to your systems. Taiho is not just our patient, Jiwoo said proudly. He's our ally and friend, and he's made his choice clear. Outside the ship, Taiho moved for the first time in weeks. His massive body shifted, curling protectively around the Curiosity, even with 30% of the parasites still attached. He was an imposing sight, a 2-kilometer-long space dragon with scales that glowed with inner light. Through the viewports, they could see his enormous eye looking directly at the Council ships, a warning that needed no translation. It seems we have reached an impasse, Nara said coldly. But consider this carefully, humans. The Draconid is the last of its kind. The knowledge it possesses spans millennia. Such a resource belongs to the galaxy, not to a single young species. Taiho is not a resource, Jiwoo replied firmly. He's a living being with the right to choose his own path. And he's chosen to stay with us. Captain Dohyun stepped forward. We will complete the treatment as planned. You're welcome to observe, but control remains with us and with Taiho. For a long moment, tension filled the room. Then Nara gave a slight nod. Very well. We will observe for now. But the Council will not forget this defiance. As the Council representatives moved to follow Jiwoo to the shuttle bay, she exchanged a quick glance with Captain Dohyun. They had won this round. But the Council's sudden interest in Taiho was troubling. Outside, Taiho remained wrapped protectively around the human ship, his massive form a shield between the Curiosity and the Council vessels. For the first time in centuries, the ancient dragon was taking a stand, not just for himself, but for the humans who had given him back his life. They will not give up easily, Taiho said privately to Jiwoo through their link. The Council fears what they cannot control. Then we'll just have to finish your treatment quickly, Jiwoo replied, and decide our next move together. As she prepared to return to work on the final parasites, Jiwoo felt a strange mix of worry and pride. They had come to save a dying dragon, but now they found themselves caught in a much larger galactic situation. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. The bond between Taiho and the humans of the Curiosity had become something the Galactic Council never expected. A friendship that might change the balance of power among the stars. 2 weeks had passed since the successful test. The crew of the Curiosity worked around the clock, their small ship now orbiting Taiho like a moon around a planet. They had set up a temporary base on a section of the dragon's back that had been cleared of parasites. Jiwoo stood on Taiho's massive scale, looking out at the work in progress. From here, she could see teams of crew members in spacesuits placing pulse generators in careful patterns. The devices were working exactly as hoped. Wherever they were activated, the parasites would first glow brighter, then dim and die. How are you feeling today? Jiwoo asked through the psychic link they maintained with Taiho. Better than yesterday and worse than tomorrow, I hope, came the dragon's reply. His mental voice was already stronger than when they had first met. Jiwoo smiled. In the short time they had known each other, she had discovered that the ancient dragon had a dry sense of humor. The treatment is about 20% complete, she told him. We've cleared most of your left side and have started on your back. The pain is less now, Taiho noted. At first, each new section you treated brought fresh agony. Now it is more like a strong itch. That's good news, Jiwoo said. It means your nervous system is starting to recover. Captain Dohyun approached, his spacesuit marked with blue stripes to help identify him from a distance. Supply ship from Earth will arrive tomorrow, he reported. They're bringing more pulse generators and some new equipment. New equipment? Jiwoo asked. Yes, your sister sent something she thinks might help speed up the process. Some kind of parasite attractor. Jiwoo's face lit up. Her sister Sumin was one of Earth's top xenobiologists, specializing in space parasites. That's great news. If it works, we might cut our timeline in half. Tell me about Earth, Taeho requested suddenly. In all my travels, I never visited your world. Jiwoo sat down on the cleared scale, looking out at the stars. Earth is beautiful. It's mostly covered in water. Blue oceans that stretch for thousands of kilometers. The land has mountains, forests, deserts, and grasslands. We have millions of different animal and plant species. It sounds like a living world, Taeho commented. Many planets in the galaxy once teemed with life but were ruined by their own inhabitants. We almost ruined Earth too, Jiwoo admitted. About 100 years ago, we nearly destroyed our climate, but we managed to turn things around just in time. That shows wisdom. Many species do not learn until it is too late. What about your homeworld? Jiwoo asked. You were born here in the nebula, but did your kind have a planet? We had many worlds, Taeho replied. Draconids are not bound to planets as most species are. We can survive in space on gas giants even near the surfaces of stars. But yes, we had a home base, a large moon orbiting a gas giant. It was destroyed in the war with the Vex long before your species discovered fire. Jiwoo wanted to ask more about this ancient war, but an alert sounded from her suit. Excuse me, Taeho, I need to check on the next phase of treatment. She stood and walked carefully across the dragon's back to where Hyunwoo was working with a team on a particularly dense cluster of parasites. What's the problem? She asked. Hyunwoo pointed to the cluster. These ones are different. They're larger and seem to be controlling the smaller parasites around them. Jiwoo examined the cluster. The parasites here were indeed different, darker in color and pulsing with a stronger glow. They must be the queen parasites, the ones that coordinate the network. Should we adjust the pulse frequency? Hyunwoo asked. Jiwoo thought for a moment. No, but we should double the number of generators around this area. And warned Taeho, this is going to hurt more than the other sections. They carefully placed additional generators around the queen cluster. When everything was ready, Jiwoo contacted Taeho through the link. We've found what appears to be a control node for the parasites. Treating this area will be more painful, but it should disrupt a larger portion of the infestation at once. Do what you must, Taeho replied. I am ready. Activate the generators, Jiwoo ordered. The devices lit up with their blue glow. Almost immediately, Taeho's entire body shuddered. Through the link, Jiwoo felt a wave of intense pain. Taeho, are you all right? She called out, concerned. It burns, came the strained reply. But I can endure it. The queen parasites glowed with an angry red light pulsing rapidly. Unlike the smaller parasites, they didn't die quickly. Instead, they seemed to fight back, drawing even more energy from Taeho's body. His vital signs are dropping, Hyunwoo reported, checking his scanner. Heart rate is increasing, neural activity is spiking. Should we stop? Asked Minji, who had joined them. Jiwoo hesitated. They could stop the treatment, but that would leave the queen parasites intact and possibly angry. They might increase their drain on Taeho in response. Taeho, she said through the link. We can stop if it's too much. No. The dragon's reply was firm despite his pain. Continue. Better to suffer now than to leave these controllers in place. Increase pulse strength by 20%, Jiwoo ordered. The generator's glow intensified. The queen parasites pulsed faster. Their red glow almost blinding. Taeho's massive body trembled, and a low rumble vibrated through his scales. The closest thing to a cry of pain the ancient dragon could produce in the vacuum of space. For 10 tense minutes, the battle continued. The queen parasites fought desperately to maintain their hold. Then suddenly their glow flickered and began to fade. One by one, they detached from Taeho's scales, drifting away into space. As the queen parasites died, something unexpected happened. Across Taeho's body, thousands of smaller parasites also began to die, their lights winking out like stars at dawn. It's working better than we hoped, Jiwoo exclaimed. The queen parasites were controlling much larger sections than we thought. The pain is fading, Taeho reported, his mental voice weak but relieved. I can feel parts of my body that have been numb for centuries. Scans confirmed what they were seeing. Nearly 40% of the parasites had died or become dormant after the queen cluster was eliminated. This changes everything, Hyunwoo said. If we can identify and target the remaining queen clusters, we could clear the infestation in weeks instead of months. Jiwoo nodded, excitement building. Minji, run a full scan. Look for energy patterns similar to the queen cluster we just eliminated. There must be more controlling the remaining parasites. As Minji began the scan, Jiwoo returned her attention to Taiho. How are you feeling now? Like a new dragon, Taiho replied with a hint of humor in his mental voice. Or at least parts of me do. For the first time in centuries, I can feel the star's radiation on my scales without the parasites absorbing it first. Jiwoo smiled. That's wonderful news. We've made a breakthrough today. The treatment will go much faster now. You humans continue to surprise me, Taiho said. The council's best scientists gave up, yet your small team has accomplished more in 2 weeks than they did in years. Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions that others miss, Jiwoo replied. And we're stubborn. We don't like giving up. A valuable trait, Taiho observed. When I am healed, I would like to visit your Earth, to thank your people properly. I think that could be arranged, Jiwoo said, grinning at the thought of Taiho hovering over Earth's oceans. Though you might cause a bit of a stir. Humans aren't used to seeing space dragons. I can be discreet when needed, Taiho replied, and Jiwoo could sense amusement in his thoughts. As the day continued, the crew identified 3 more queen clusters and successfully eliminated them. With each treatment, more of Taiho's true form was revealed, magnificent scales in deep blue and silver that seemed to reflect the stars themselves. That night, as Jiwoo rested in the Curiosity, she looked out at Taiho's partially cleared form. In the areas now free of parasites, his scales glowed with a soft inner light. He was not just surviving the treatment, he was beginning to thrive. We're going to do it, she whispered to herself. We're really going to save him. Outside in the vastness of space, Taiho drifted peacefully, feeling stronger than he had in centuries. For the first time in a very long time, the ancient dragon allowed himself to hope for a future among the stars. The inside of the research vessel, Curiosity, buzzed with activity. Dr. Jiwoo Park moved quickly through the ship's main lab, checking equipment and reviewing data on multiple screens. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her eyes showed both excitement and worry. How did the initial scans look? She asked, turning to Minji, the ship's data analyst. Minji looked up from her screen, her face serious. Not good. The parasites have spread through 87% of the dragon's body. They're deeply connected to his nervous system. Captain Do-Yun entered the lab, followed by Dr. Hyunwoo. The captain's face was stern, but his eyes showed concern. Tell me honestly, he said to Jiwoo. Can we really help this creature, or are we giving it false hope? Jiwoo walked to the main display and brought up a 3D model of Taiho's massive body. The image rotated slowly, showing the extent of the infestation. Millions of glowing dots covered the dragon's form, clustered most densely around his spine and brain. The Galactic Council gave up because they approached this as a removal problem, Jiwoo explained. They tried to kill or remove the parasites directly. But there are too many, billions of them. So what's your approach? Asked Hyunwoo, studying the scans. We don't need to remove them all at once, Jiwoo said. We just need to disrupt their feeding pattern. She pointed to a close-up scan of one of the parasites. See this? They connect to Taiho's bioelectric field through these filaments. They're all linked in a network, sharing the energy they steal. Minji nodded in understanding. Like the Europa colonies, they function as a single organism. Exactly, Jiwoo said. And that's their weakness. If we can disrupt their communication network, we can break their hold on Taiho's system. Captain Do-Hyun crossed his arms. The Council has much more advanced technology than we do. If they couldn't solve this, what makes you think we can? Jiwoo smiled slightly. Because sometimes being less advanced is an advantage. The Council tried complex solutions. We're going to try something simpler. She pulled up another image, a small device about the size of a coin. This is an EM pulse generator we developed for the Europa parasites. It emits a specific frequency that disrupts their neural network without harming the host. But Taiho is enormous, Hyunwoo pointed out. We would need thousands of these devices. We have the fabricators, Jiwoo replied. We can make enough. And we have something else the council doesn't have. What's that? Asked the captain. Stubbornness, Jiwoo said with a small smile. And nothing better to do. The council gave up because the treatment would take too long and cost too much. We're just one ship with a small crew. We can take the time. Captain Do-hyun looked at the image of the dying dragon on the screen. After a moment, he nodded. All right. How do we start? We need to talk to Taiho first, Jiwoo said. This won't be easy for him. The treatment will be painful at first, and we need his cooperation. The captain nodded. Prepare the shuttle. We'll go explain the plan to him. An hour later, the small shuttle hovered near Taiho's massive head. Through the psychic link, Jiwoo carefully explained their plan. The parasites are connected in a network, she told the ancient dragon. They share the energy they steal from you. We can disrupt that network with special devices that emit electromagnetic pulses. The council tried similar approaches, Taiho replied, his mental voice weak but clear. They failed. Our devices use a different frequency, Jiwoo explained. We discovered it while studying similar parasites in our home system. But I need to be honest with you, Taiho. This treatment will be painful at first. As the parasites lose their connection, they'll try to draw more energy from you before they die. Pain is my constant companion now, Taiho responded. I can endure more if there is hope at the end. There's something else, Jiwoo continued. This will take time. Weeks, maybe months. We'll need to place thousands of small devices on your body and activate them in sequence. The council probably gave up because it would take too long. Time is one thing I have left, though not much of it. We'll start with a small test area, Jiwoo said. If it works as we hope, we'll continue with the full treatment. Proceed, Taiho agreed. I place my life in your hands, humans. The test began on a small patch of parasites near Taiho's left shoulder. Jiwoo and Hyunwoo, wearing spacesuits, carefully placed 20 of the small pulse generators in a circle around a cluster of parasites. Each device was magnetized to stick to Taiho's scales beneath the parasites. Back on the shuttle, Minji monitored the readings. Devices in place, ready to activate on your command. Jiwoo looked at Taiho's massive eye, which was watching them closely. We're ready to begin the test. This will hurt, but try to remain still if you can. I understand. Proceed. Jiwoo nodded to Minji. Activate the devices. The small generators lit up with a soft blue glow. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the parasites in the test area began to pulse more rapidly, their glow intensifying. Taiho's body shuddered, and a wave of pain flowed through the psychic link. The dragon was trying not to move, but the pain was intense. Parasites are increasing their energy draw, Minji reported, watching the readings. They're trying to compensate for the disruption. Stay with us, Taiho, Jiwoo said through the link. This is the worst part. It should ease soon. For 10 minutes, the parasites glowed brighter and brighter as they desperately tried to maintain their network. Taiho's pain was evident, but he remained as still as possible. Then suddenly the glow began to fade. The parasites' movement slowed, and some began to detach from Taiho's scales. It's working, Hyunwoo exclaimed. The network is breaking down. Within 30 minutes, all the parasites in the test area had either died or become dormant. They no longer glowed with stolen energy, and many had fallen away from Taiho's body, drifting off into space. Jiwoo approached the cleared area. Beneath where the parasites had been, Taiho's scales were visible for the first time in centuries, a deep blue color with hints of silver. How do you feel? She asked through the link. Strange, Taiho replied. That small area feels lighter. I had forgotten what it was like not to carry their weight. Jiwoo smiled inside her helmet. The test was successful. Now we need to scale up. We'll need to make thousands more devices and place them systematically across your body. How long will the full treatment take? If we work continuously, maybe 2 months, Jiwoo said honestly. We'll need to treat you section by section. And we'll need to be careful around your head and spine, where the parasites are most densely connected to your nervous system. 2 months is nothing compared to the centuries I have lived, Taiho replied. Or the eternity of death that awaited me before you arrived. Captain Do-hyun's voice came through their comms. We should contact Earth for additional supplies, and we need to be prepared in case the Council returns to check on our dragon friend. Our dragon friend, Jiwoo repeated with a smile. I like that. She looked at the small patch of cleared scales amid the vast expanse of parasites. It was a tiny victory, but it was a start. For the first time, she truly believed they could save Taiho. We'll begin fabricating more devices immediately, she told the ancient dragon. By this time tomorrow, we'll start the full treatment. You won't die here, Taiho. Not if we have anything to say about it. As the shuttle returned to the Curiosity, Jiwoo looked back at the massive dragon. In the vastness of space, surrounded by the beautiful colors of the Orion Nebula, Taiho no longer seemed like a dying creature. Instead, he looked like what he truly was, an ancient, magnificent being who deserved a chance to live. The real work was just beginning, but Jiwoo felt a surge of determination. Humans might be new to the galaxy, but they were about to show the Galactic Council what they were capable of when they set their minds to something. The massive dragon floated alone in the dark emptiness of space. Taiho was old, older than most stars in this part of the galaxy. His huge body stretched nearly 2 kilometers from snout to tail tip. Once his scales had shimmered with the colors of nebulas and cosmic fire. Now they were hidden beneath millions of glittering parasites. These were not ordinary barnacles. They were space parasites that looked like barnacles but were much worse. Each one dug into Taiho's body and stole his life energy. They had spread across his entire form over hundreds of years, growing in number until they covered almost every part of him. Taiho drifted slowly through the Orion Nebula, a place of star birth and cosmic beauty. This was where he had been born 12,000 years ago. Now it would be where he would die. Pain shot through his body as he tried to move. The parasites had worked their way into his nervous system, making every movement feel like fire. His once mighty wings, which could propel him between star systems, now hung limp and useless. You are beyond help, the Galactic Council doctor had told him 3 weeks ago. The infestation is too advanced. Treatment would cost more than an entire planet's yearly output. The Council had once valued Taiho and his kind. The Draconids were ancient protectors of the galaxy, wise beings who had helped younger races grow and learn. But as technology advanced and new species joined the Council, the old dragons became less important. When Taiho's parasite problem began, they had tried to help. But as years passed and the infestation grew worse, their interest faded. We can offer you one last kindness, the Council head had said. A peaceful journey to your birthplace where you may spend your final days. What they really meant was, you are too expensive to save, and we don't want your massive corpse causing problems near our worlds. Taiho's thoughts drifted as he floated among the stars. He remembered the glory days when he and other Draconids soared between worlds, helping young civilizations solve problems too big for them to handle alone. He remembered the joy of diving into gas giants, feeling the pressure and strange energies that would kill most beings, but gave dragons strength. Now, he was the last. The others had died in the Great Plague 500 years ago. Taiho had survived only because he had been far away, exploring the edges of the galaxy. When he returned, his entire species was gone. A sharp pain pulled him from his memories. One of the larger parasite clusters was pulsing, drawing more energy than usual. The pain made his massive body twitch, which only caused more agony as the movement disturbed other parasites. This is a bad way to die, Taiho thought. Alone and covered in parasites, forgotten by those I helped protect for thousands of years. He had lived through the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations. He had watched suns die and new ones ignite. He had seen wars that spanned entire star systems and peace treaties that united former enemies. And now he would die alone, his body eventually becoming nothing more than a strange, parasite-covered asteroid drifting through space. The parasites glowed with stolen energy, creating a strange, beautiful pattern across his body. From a distance, he probably looked like a small, glittering nebula. The thought gave him little comfort. Taiho's senses were failing, but he still had enough awareness to detect objects at a distance. Something was approaching, a small ship barely visible against the backdrop of stars. It was moving directly toward him, which was unusual. Most ships avoided strange objects in space, especially ones as large as Taiho. The ship was tiny compared to him, perhaps 100 meters long. It was sleek and silver with blue markings along its hull. Taiho didn't recognize its design. It wasn't from any of the major council races. As the ship drew closer, Taiho could make out its name written in an unfamiliar script. Below that was writing in the common galactic language, Research Vessel Curiosity, Earth. Earth. Taiho searched his vast memory. Earth was a small planet in a backwater system, home to a young species called humans. The Council had made first contact with them only 70 years ago. They were still new to space travel and had limited territory, just their home system and a few nearby colonies. Why would an Earth ship be this far from home? And why would it approach a dying dragon? The ship slowed as it came within a few kilometers of Taiho. It began to circle him slowly, scanning his massive form. Taiho could sense the energy of their scanners washing over him. Go away, he thought, though he had no way to communicate with them. Let me die in peace. But the ship didn't leave. Instead, it moved closer, positioning itself near his head. Taiho's eyes were each the size of the human ship, ancient orbs that had witnessed the birth and death of stars. One eye tracked the vessel as it hovered nearby. A small shuttle emerged from the larger ship. It approached cautiously, stopping just 50 meters from Taiho's massive head. Through the shuttle's viewport, Taiho could see 3 small figures looking at him with expressions he couldn't read. The shuttle extended a communication array. A gentle signal touched Taiho's mind. A basic psychic interface, primitive but functional. Hello, came a thought voice translated through the interface. My name is Jiwoo Park. I'm a xenobiologist from Earth. Can you understand me? Taiho was surprised. Few beings tried to communicate with him these days, and none had bothered since the Council abandoned him. With great effort, he focused his fading mental energy to respond. I understand. I am Taiho, last of the Draconids. Why have you approached me? There was a pause, then excitement flowed through the psychic link. It worked. Captain, the translation is working. Then directed back to Taiho. We detected your life signs and the parasitic infestation. Our scans show you're in great pain. I am dying. The Council deemed me untreatable. You should leave. When I die, the parasites may seek a new host. Another voice joined the link, deeper and more authoritative. I'm Captain Do-hyun Kim of the Curiosity. We've been studying similar parasites in our home system. Dr. Park believes we might be able to help you. Taiho would have laughed if he could. These humans were either foolish or didn't understand the scale of his problem. Young ones, the most advanced medical minds in the galaxy, could not help me. The parasites are too numerous and too deeply embedded. What could your young species possibly do? A third voice joined in, this one calm and methodical. I'm Dr. Hyunwoo Kang, Chief Medical Officer. The parasites on your body share key biological markers with organisms we encountered on Europa, one of our system's moons. We developed effective countermeasures for those. Our approach might work where others failed because we're coming at the problem from a different angle. Taiho's interest stirred slightly. These humans were either incredibly arrogant or refreshingly innovative. Why would you help me? What do you gain? Because you're suffering, Jiwoo replied simply. And if we can help, we should. That's reason enough. For the first time in centuries, Taiho felt something besides pain and resignation. It was a small spark of hope, fragile but present. Very well, humans. I accept your help, though I warn you, my death throes could destroy your vessel if your treatment fails. We understand the risk, Captain Do-hyun responded, and we accept it. We'll begin preparations immediately. As the shuttle returned to the main ship, Taiho watched with his ancient eyes. These humans were either going to perform a miracle or die trying. Either way, he would no longer have to face his end alone.